Alright, hello and welcome to another video from Flash Jazz Cat, and in this video we're going to have a look at a rather nice Atari 600XL which was sent in for a number of upgrades. Now the first thing I did, which sadly I didn't actually record, which is rather a shame because it's turned out very nicely, was restore the thing. I do have some before and after photos. I did remember to take some this time and I'll pop them in the video. So that you can see what this one used to look like when it came in, but this is the case finished basically, because we had some nice weather and it's turned out very nice indeed. This whole top area was absolutely brown. Not the bottom wasn't so bad, but the keyboard's been cleaned, the cartridge doors have been buffed and polished, and the console keys were still in good shape, as is the badge. I haven't tested the keyboard yet, so if there are any problems with that, we'll deal with them when the time comes, but the machine's going to look very nice indeed. The first thing we're going to do is rig up the video so we can test that it works, and once we know the board works, we will then upgrade the memory, the base memory, from 16K to 64K, which is an essential step before installing Ultimate 1 MB. Then we will fit some nice sockets in the MMU, OS-ROM, GTIA. It's going to be interesting installing Sophia in this machine because there isn't a lot of room. Of course, the RF modulator will be being removed as well. So pretty much the full gamut of modifications. I will also do the most minimal possible simple modification to the stock video, and I believe, if I remember correctly, if you just pop one of these capacitors off the board, it sharpens up the image no end. And I do believe that the 600XL actually has the best stock video. Once tweaked, once it's been corrected, it has the best stock video of any 8-bit on the market, or not on the market now, but any of the Atari 8-bit computers. That's my personal experience. Let's begin, and I think the first thing we'll do is test it, and I can't tell whether it boots until we've got some monitor output, so let's go ahead and do that. Now, as I work on this machine and make this video, I'm going to use, for some aspects, my own 600XL as a reference, and this is mine here. The cable runs are a little bit messy, but other than that, it's an extremely reliable machine and is currently my favourite. It has an old megahertz stereo board here, but perhaps the most interesting thing about this machine, apart from the upgrades that are in it, is the fact that the Ultimate 1 MB is actually plugged in to the basic socket, and there are simple changes to jumpers on the board which enable this to be done. Now the reason for this is, that the stereo board here overhangs the OS-ROM socket, but you can actually, on the 600XL, you can put the larger socket in place of the existing 24-pin basic socket, so you essentially have two OS-ROM sockets there. It's really intended so that you can put basic on an EEPROM, I believe. A 27C, what would it be, 64 or 2764? But anyway, that's what I did, and it enabled me to fit both these things on. So what I'm specifically interested in here is the video circuit, and I can see I've got actually a radial electrolytic capacitor on the chroma here going to the video jack, which is most interesting indeed. That is rather interesting. It looks like I've replaced the video jack as well. For some reason, that's the sync signal going to the VBXE. That is obviously Luma, and that seems to be going through a 75 ohm resistor. And I'm assuming this is chroma, and I've fitted a, if I can see what it is, 220 mic electrolytic capacitor on the chroma. Now that must have been to reduce clocking or noise. But the video on this machine is really nice. I'll actually plug it in and have a look. So that's stock video, and it's honestly, it's pretty good. You can see the faintest sort of texture vertically, but they're not jail bars by any stretch of the imagination. It's not quite up to UAV standards, but by George, it's a kick in the teeth away from it, I would say. I'm very, very happy with the video on this machine, and I'm going to try and repeat the modifications on the other machine that are on this one, and hopefully we should get stock video that looks as good as this. Alright, so I'm going to use the T12K tip, which is my favourite for removing RF modulators at the moment, just to heat. It's just like a knife through butter. It's marvellous. And hopefully repeat the feat that I managed with the last machine of getting the thing off the board without damaging the plate through on these vias here. So I'm just heating the lugs from the side and then persuading the thing to lift up from the board. You can feel the board give. Heat them up. Oh, that's lovely. Not lovely. The back should be out fairly soon. Oh, there, it's starting to go. Right, so the back. See, the back's lifted up now already. The back's free. Now we can work on these two side ones. And the extra thermal mass, there you go, it's off. The extra thermal mass on this tip, it just stops the the plate through on these lugs from just being slow cooked to the point at which, oh, still hanging on there a little bit. There we go. It stops the lugs from being slow cooked to the point that they just give up and part company with the board. There we are. There we go. And a pretty clean finish. Just pull these out. Yeah, it's an absolute monster, this tip. It's superb. And that's at 450 degrees C as well. I like the iron hot. So we'll put a little bit of flux on here. Wick away this old solder. Okay, so we'll clean that up a little bit and get rid of this nasty sticky label business here. Go. Alright, so this, I trust you'll agree, is rather a nice result. Just got to clean up the bottom of the board. Of course, it's still covered in flux, but everything's intact. There we go. Bottom cleaned up. Absolutely perfect. Alright, let's get ourselves some video on this machine, on the video jack. Let's put the BCO2 tip back in, switch on, see if it beeps itself to death. Amazing. Sometimes this thing just beeps like crazy every time I turn it on, and today it's decided to be quiet. Okay, so I've got a nice 220 microfarad electrolytic capacitor, a nice 75 ohm resistor and some little bits of wire here. So let's go ahead and rig up some video. Now we need to do a cut here because if you have a look, the ground pin, which is this center pin here on the video jack, is connected to the chroma pin for reasons unknown, but anyway, that's sent to ground. We need to cut that trace, otherwise we'll never get chroma, S-video chroma out of the machine. So I'm just going to use the knife to cut through that trace and get rid of that copper. Yep, open line. So if we look at our reference board here, now we'll take photographs and put some little diagrams up on the screen. We need a wire from down this corner, and that is going to go to Luma. So at the moment we've got the resistor coming off the Luma pin of the jack. Alright, so we should get video at this point, but just black and white video, so let's plug it in and see what happens. So we get a video signal, but no picture, which is pretty much exactly what I was dreading here, because it looks like the machine doesn't work.
Oh shit, here we go again.
So what we're actually doing now is repairing a dead 600XL that didn't work when it arrived here, which is a completely different dimension on the whole experience. So what am I going to do? Alright, so I'm fairly lucky. I managed to off camera figure out the problem fairly quickly, and it turned out to be a dead CPU. And I think if I look over here, I believe it was this one. The original CPU was a Cinetech, I believe they're called. And that's dead, but more alarmingly, so are all of these, which was my this is from my stash of spare CPUs. This is terrible, so it may explain a few difficult diagnostic sessions. Yes, these CPUs, all 5 of them, appear, I'll have to confirm in another machine, but they appear to be completely dead. Anyway, we can test it now, and I'll show you that the thing works with a new CPU. Power on. Alright, so the next part of this little video modification that I'm doing here is this electrolytic capacitor, which I put on the machine, my other machine, for very good reason, and as we've seen, the video is quite excellent. Yeah, so the positive end goes down here on this junction of 2 components. Alright, so the positive end of the cap, oh sorry, yes, it goes here. Right here, I'll make a diagram of this, of course. Other end, we will solder to our newly released from ground chroma pin, like so. There we are. That's on, and tidy that up later on. Now if we flip it over, we should get colour, which we do. That looks rather nice already. Actually, it looks very nice. It's just a bit soft. If we bring the screen closer, it's just a bit on the soft side, but it's actually very nice. The complete lack of vertical banding, which is actually a little bit better on this machine. Well, actually, the capacitor that makes the image look soft on the 600XL and some of the 800XLs, when you take that capacitor off, I think it's C56 on the 800XL, you gain sharpness, but what you gain in sharpness, you will get a slight graininess to plain backgrounds, but I think that's actually worth it for the additional clarity. So we're going to do that now as well. So I'm going to have a look at my machine, and as I said, I will make diagrams, and I'm going to see what it is that I took off the circuit. So that two vacant pads, that is a capacitor, and I think it's C109, and I'm going to take that one off here as well. It's actually this huge ceramic thing here, so I'm going to pull that out. Right, now let's try it again, and I'm expecting a big improvement in quality. So let's go. Let's bring the monitor around so you can see what happens. Let's see what we got here. Ooh, Now that, you probably can't tell, there we are. So that's stock 600XL video with removing one capacitor, hooking up the chroma and the luma, and one radial capacitor, which I'm assuming I put on there to get rid of clocking lines on the screen. The simplest, I'm going to see if I can read that part number. Yeah, it is C109, so take C109 off your machine, even if you don't do all the, if you don't fit the radial cap underneath the board. Simply removing this little capacitor here on its own makes such a difference to the clarity. And as I say, I use a 75 ohm resistor when I connect the luma. And as I say, try it without the radial capacitor, the electrolytic capacitor, 220 microfarad. But I know I put it on for a reason, because I used to experiment with these video circuits a lot. Not with a great deal of knowledge, I have to tell you. That's absolutely brilliant. Alright, so let's get this machine upgraded to 64K before we proceed with any of the other upgrades. So we need to bend up pin 3 of U5. Okay, there's one completed 64K RAM upgrade. There we go. So let's switch it on and see what we get. I'm not going to do a RAM test at this point. I'll be perfectly happy if it just boots. And it does. So I suppose we might as well pop the motherboard in the case, and this will give us a chance to find out that the keyboard doesn't work. Rather, sorry, it'll give us a chance to find out if the keyboard works. So this is the lovely case that's been retro brighted in the nice sunshine. As you can see, the board still sits in just fine with that extra radial cap on the bottom, so that creates no problem whatsoever. That's it. Alright, plug her in. Here we go. Isn't that lovely, eh? Switch on. We know it's going to work. But I'm rather interested to see what the keyboard is doing. Okay. Good. There we go. That's pretty damn good. There's a little bit of shadowing on the image. I mean, it's not as good as the UAV. It has to be said, but it's night and day better than the original video quality. And we can test the keyboard. So I do hope you enjoyed that look at a couple of basic but very, very useful modifications to the Atari 600XL. A video modification which doesn't take long to do and dramatically improves picture quality, and of course the pretty simple upgrade to 64K, which basically turns the machine into an equivalent to the 800XL. Of course, this machine's going to have Sophia DVI installed as well, and Ultimate 1 MB in a later video. But in terms of just renovating the machine, repairing the machine, and bringing it up to what I would consider a usable standard, that's basically the end of the story. And looks very nice. It's been completely renovated. It basically looks new. And it's got the RF modulator. You could leave that in if you wanted to, or if you found that it interfered with video quality, you could just disconnect the wires at the front. But there's no real reason to have the thing there. It's a useless hunk of metal at this point in time. I will eventually replace the GTIA socket, the OS ROM socket, and the MMU socket on this machine when we come to put the other upgrades in. And of course this needs to go in as well to finish things off when we're done. But yeah, that's it. Keyboard works, video works, memory works, and a computer that I think would be an asset to any Atari collection. So I hope that information's been useful to you and you've enjoyed seeing how this machine turned out. If you enjoyed it that much, you can give it a thumbs up, and I'd love to hear your comments down below. And if you want to see how this machine turns out when the rest of the stuff's been installed, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you get a notification when I upload those videos as well. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed recently, and thank you to everyone who has donated, both as a response to the recent Ultimate 1 MB firmware update that I released, and to the channel in general in response to the videos. It is very much appreciated indeed, and especially at a time when it would be easy to kind of lose heart with the things that you're doing at the moment. That kind of support and generosity is tremendously meaningful. It's always meaningful, but it's even more warmly appreciated at the moment. So thank you again to everyone for your support. And yeah, so hope you enjoyed it. And I will be back with the same machine next time, doing more fun things to it. Thank you very much again. And I'll see you in the next video. So have a good weekend, and bye-bye for now.